I got married when I was 23 years old. At that time, I believed marriage was the beginning of a beautiful life. Everyone around me said the same thing. My parents smiled with hope. My relatives gave advice. My friends said I was lucky. I also believed them because I trusted their words. I thought marriage would give me love, respect, and happiness. After marriage, I moved to my husband's house. It was not very far from my parents' home, but it felt like a different world. The walls were new to me. The rooms felt strange. Even the air felt unfamiliar. I told myself to be strong and patient. I said, "This is my home now." In the beginning, I tried my best to fit in. I woke up early every morning before everyone else. I cleaned the house carefully. I cooked food the way my mother-in-law liked it. I listened more than I spoke. I smiled even when I was tired. I wanted everyone to be happy with me. Before marriage, my life was simple but full. I loved reading books, especially English stories. I liked learning new words and writing small sentences in a notebook. Sometimes I sat near the window and watched the sky. I dreamed about becoming confident and independent. I knew who I was. After marriage, my days became busy very quickly. There was always something to do. If the house was clean, food needed to be cooked. If food was ready, guests arrived. If guests left, more work waited. My time was no longer mine. It belonged to everyone else. One morning, I picked up my old English book. I opened it slowly and smiled. But before I could read even one page, someone called me from the kitchen. I closed the book and kept it on the shelf. That book stayed there for many days, untouched. Sometimes I wanted to rest, but rest felt like a mistake. If I sat for a few minutes, I felt guilty. If I slept in the afternoon, I felt lazy. I started believing that my value was only in work. No one said it directly, but I felt it every day. My husband was not a bad man. He worked hard and came home tired. He expected peace at home, not questions or complaints. So I stayed quiet. I did not want to disturb him. I thought silence was the best choice. Slowly, I stopped sharing my thoughts. I stopped laughing loudly. I stopped talking about my dreams. I became careful with my words, afraid of saying something wrong. Inside my heart, I felt small and weak. One evening, I stood alone in front of the mirror. I looked at my face for a long time. I saw tired eyes and a quiet smile. I looked familiar, yet strange. I touched my face and asked myself softly, "Who are you now?" I remembered the girl I was before marriage. She had hopes. She had energy. She believed in herself. I missed her deeply. It felt like I had left her behind somewhere and forgotten the way back. At night, when everyone slept, I lay awake. My mind was full of thoughts. I asked myself many questions. Was marriage supposed to feel like this? Was I wrong for wanting time for myself? Was I selfish for missing my old life? I did not hate my family. I did not hate my husband. But I felt lost. I felt invisible. I was present everywhere, yet noticed nowhere. I tried to be patient. I told myself this feeling would go away. I believed that one day things would change. But deep inside, I knew something important was missing. I was missing. One day, while cleaning an old drawer, I found my notebook. It was the same notebook where I used to write English sentences. I opened it and read my old handwriting. My eyes filled with tears, but I smiled too. That notebook reminded me of who I was. I closed the notebook carefully and kept it close to my heart. For the first time after marriage, I felt something warm inside me. A small hope. A quiet voice said, "You still exist." That day, I understood something very important. Marriage had changed my life, but it should not erase me. I did not need to run away. I just needed to remember myself. This was the beginning of my new understanding. I had lost myself after marriage, but maybe, just maybe, I could find myself again. The days continued to pass quietly, one after another, like slow-moving clouds in the sky. From the outside, my life looked normal. The house was clean. The food was ready on time. I followed every routine carefully. But inside me, something felt empty, like a room with no light. I woke up every morning with a heavy heart. I did my work without complaint, but my mind was far away. Sometimes, while washing dishes, I stared at my reflection in the water. I looked at my hands and thought about how busy they were, yet how invisible my efforts felt. My husband spoke kindly to me, but our conversations were short. He asked if food was ready or if everything was fine at home. I always answered, yes. I did not want to bring sadness into his tired life. I thought my silence was a gift. I thought understanding meant sacrifice. Before marriage, I had friends. We laughed, shared stories, and talked about our dreams. After marriage, those calls became rare. When the phone rang, I was often busy. Slowly, people stopped calling. My world became smaller, limited to the walls of the house. I forgot how it felt to do something just for myself. Even small joys felt wrong. If I listened to music, I felt guilty. If I smiled at my own thoughts, I felt strange. I trained myself to hide my feelings so well that even I could not find them easily. At night, when the house was silent, my thoughts became louder. I remembered the girl who loved learning English. She enjoyed reading simple stories and understanding new words. She believed that learning made her stronger. I wondered where that girl had gone. One evening, my husband came home earlier than usual. He saw me sitting quietly by the window. He asked, "Are you okay?" His question surprised me. For a moment, I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to say I was tired, lost, and lonely. But the words did not come out. I smiled and said, "I'm fine." That night, I cried silently. My tears soaked the pillow. I realized I had become very good at hiding my pain. Even when someone asked, I did not know how to answer honestly. The next day, I visited my parents. My mother looked at my face and understood something was wrong. Mothers always know. She held my hand and asked softly, "Are you happy?" I wanted to say no, but I was afraid. Afraid of worrying her. Afraid of being judged. So I said, "I am adjusting." On my way back, I thought deeply. Why was I afraid to speak the truth? Why did I feel guilty for feeling sad? I realized that I had slowly forgotten my own worth. I had started believing that my feelings did not matter. One afternoon, while cleaning, I found my old English book again. This time, I did not put it back. I sat down and opened it. I read one page slowly. The words felt familiar and comforting. My heart felt lighter. I decided to give myself 10 minutes every day. Just 10 minutes. I used the time to read, write, or sit quietly. At first, it felt strange. But slowly, it felt right. Those 10 minutes became my safe place. I started writing small sentences again. Simple English sentences about my day, my feelings, and my thoughts. Writing helped me understand myself better. It reminded me that I had a voice, even if it was quiet. I did not change my life suddenly. I still did my duties. I still cared for my family. But inside me, something was changing. I was no longer empty. I was slowly filling myself with understanding and self-respect. One day, I gathered courage and spoke to my husband. I told him I felt lost sometimes. I did not blame him. I just shared my feelings. He listened quietly. He did not say much, but he held my hand. That moment gave me strength. I learned that finding myself did not mean leaving my marriage. It meant bringing myself into it. It meant being honest, even if my voice shook. It meant believing that I mattered too. I still have days when I feel tired and unsure. But now, I remind myself that I am not invisible. I am a person with dreams, thoughts, and feelings. I lost myself after marriage, but I am learning to find myself again, step by step, word by word, and day by day.